Welcome to another episode of After Credits. I'm the host of the most Iron Barner. With me is always the man that never has a plan.
What is up?
Daniel. We have Miss Man that never has a plan in the back. I don't know the proper gender way to put that. We have the Cinema Geek on Instagram, Noah, and we have Dingleberry in the back, Aaron. This movie single-handedly made the 80s and smoking cool again.
The 2010s have been trying to make the 80s cool again via our corporate mandate. 2017 is competing for the most obnoxious use of a soundtrack ever because we had Kong Skull Island, we had Guardians 2, and now this one.
Baby Driver.
Baby Driver wasn't as obnoxious.
I still haven't seen it.
Because it played into the story.
Exactly, because the entire premise is built around music, but I'm talking the scene where in a movie, a song starts because you see a character wearing a headphone, or turning on the radio, or putting something on vinyl. And this movie, I think, takes the motherfucking cake. And I was surprised because the international trailer has Sweet Dreams, but then thought, oh, that's too far. Everybody uses Sweet Dreams in their fucking
Even
movies.
Marilyn Manson, I mean.
Jesus Christ. But that didn't stop them from putting Under Pressure and London Calling for the 45th fucking time!
You bad, bro?
It was 30 years ago, so now the generation that grew up at that time can fucking jerk off to this. I honestly can't wait until we get down and out when John Wick 45 comes out.
In case I didn't say before, we just saw Atomic Blonde, the so far another home run this summer.
It's the third movie directed by David Leitch. I think that's wrong. Charlize Theron, in the midst of the Berlin Wall coming down, is a spy ordered to grab a list full of other spies that if it gets into the wrong hands, the whole international politics is doomed. And she meets up with James McAvoy, who is her contact over in Berlin, and they get involved in a lot of R-rated shenanigans.
I thought of John Wick when I was seeing this movie.
This movie is trying to be a couple different action movies. Like, the three that came to mind were Kill Bill, John Wick, and The Raid, and I don't think it hits any of them at all. This movie tried my patience a lot, because while this looks the part of those movies, David Leitch needs a different writer. The one way I would describe this movie, I was thinking in the theater, was Uber, and then near the end of the movie was indulgent. So I'm gonna throw those two words together and call this movie Uber Indulgent. Because this movie has so many endings, so many plots, so many twists, so many fights that it's just so much. And it makes a less than 2-hour movie feel like 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Sometimes can be good, sometimes can be bad.
Yes.
In this case, Daniel,
it's bad. I was thinking a lot of if David Fincher had made this movie, if Denis Villeneuve had made this movie, because David Fincher had Seven, and Denis Villeneuve had Prisoners, and Prisoners knew how to take a really long story, and that movie actually is 2 hours and 20 minutes, and thread it all together and make that shit work.
Did you see a red balloon over there?
I did not see a red balloon over there, but that movie looks hilarious.
Shut up.
That movie looks like the live-action version of Monster House, just rated R. I was on Twitter when I saw the It trailer, and people kept leaving behind little screenshots. One of the last shots of the movie.
Sorry.
Oh, you don't have a 4-letter word? That sucks. What kind of self-respecting word game doesn't let you write cunt? There's a screenshot near the end of that trailer where Pennywise comes for the final scare. If you look in the bottom left corner, it's the Tim Curry's costume of Pennywise. It's not going to be great, but at least it's going to be easier to sit through because they decided to take a 6-hour miniseries and break it up into 2 movies, which they haven't advertised, by the way.
It's a 4-hour miniseries.
Feels like 6 hours. The adult part of that movie sucks. So I can't wait to see what that dude does.
It really does.
Part 1 is way better than
Yeah, I agree with that.
You have Prince Albert in a can? You do? Well, you better let him out. Waha! 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 Anyway, back to Atomic Blonde. So, what did the rest of y'all think about this one?
I thought it was fun as fuck, dude.
Yeah.
It did feel like there was a lot of different things going on at the end, because you felt like it could have ended 2 or 3 times. than it actually did.
Yeah, Return of the King syndrome.
Yeah, but I felt that was cool.
There's a part in this movie midway through when I thought that they revealed their hand too soon, because you can tell what the final twist of this movie is. And so what they did was they added 45 different twists at the end of this film in order to keep you guessing. You know how there are some scripts where you're like, all right, studio came to the screenwriter and said, all right, every 15 pages, an action beat. In this one, every 10 pages, a twist. That's how it felt like.
Well, it's spies, you know. It's, you know,
I know.
Shit's going to be misleading, and then you're going to figure out the real shit, and it's going to be misleading again. And
but there are ways to do that really well. The Mission Impossible series do that well. James Bond does that well.
It would have been better if they spread the twists throughout the movie rather than having them all at the end in the third act.
Well, it just keeps you guessing, man.
What do you think of this, Noah?
Doesn't keep a...
I'm between you two.
You say nah?
Noah.
You said nah.
Nah, 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 nah.
You totally missed one of his vowels in his name, man. You're like, nah.
Well, I didn't have 4 letters in my imaginary little word game.
I'm between you two. I thought this was okay. Like, there were some writing problems, and when I came out of this film, I was exhausted because there was so much crap going on. But at the same time, the action scenes were freaking awesome. And I really liked the characters in the movie.
Pretty.
I thought it was just a pretty action movie. Wasn't really much to the plot, but it was fun to watch.
I feel like I've been saying this recently, that these directors are really good at making things look good. Their movies just need to be better. Spoiler alert! We're gonna go into some spoilers about the actual movie now, so if you don't want to know anything more about the movie and just get our final thoughts and scores out of 6 stars, scroll to this. Otherwise, 3, 2, 1. Take a poll. When did you figure out that that James McAvoy was supposed to be Satchel? I'm not talking about the second twist, I'm talking about the first one. How obvious was it to you that, like, they were going to make James McAvoy Satchel?
When he was looking at the list, that's when I figured it out.
At first, I thought whenever he was seeing the double agent in the list and calling Toby Jones, he was saying, like, oh, I know who it is. And he was giving her name instead of his own. And then I came to the conclusion, oh, yeah, it was Charlize Theron.
Yeah, because it's the one person that they haven't shown, obviously, with that sort of dramatic lighting and intense music. But this movie kind of like dances around with the idea of maybe LaSalle is Satchel, maybe the Russian guy.
For a second, I thought it would have been Skarsgård.
Who is Skarsgård playing?
He was playing the guy on the east side where he was helping them out.
Oh, yeah. That's Bill Skarsgård.
His informant, or her informant, yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I liked him in this movie. I like the supporting characters a lot more than I like Charlize Theron, honestly. Like, my favorites are James McAvoy, Sofia Boutella.
The opening scene, whenever they showed Gascoigne getting shot, did anybody else think that Russian guy kind of looked like Russell Crowe with like a giant beard?
I thought that.
Piscatella and Orange is the New Black.
The French guy who gets killed, I guess, who maybe at one point was friends with Lorraine or lovers, because that never really gets brought up again.
Wasn't
It showed like a brief flashback.
He wasn't French.
Was he?
Didn't
he have a weird last name?
He was
Who?
Yeah, Gascoigne.
The guy who gets killed in the beginning of the movie?
James Gascoigne, yeah.
Gascoigne?
British.
Yeah,
he was a Brit.
And the only reason I thought French was because his name was Gascoigne. He looked like Joaquin Phoenix in Her. That's all I'm trying to say.
They imply they may have had a relationship, but it doesn't really go anywhere. They don't really bring it up again, like, ever.
Well, I like that.
Like, I thought that line about, like, did you know him? And she's like, enough to say hello. We were in different departments. I thought that was her being aloof. But no, I legit think, like, maybe they were just in different departments and they took that selfie just hanging out one day after work.
And then we see that flash, right? Okay.
Okay, now he's, like, in her bed, and there's, like, weird editing coming in. It looks like Suicide Squad, and just...
See, that's why I hate flashbacks.
I got a lot of Suicide Squad vibes from the editing in this.
Yeah, it was weird.
Because there's that one weird bit where she's going to investigate the body, and then in the middle of the scene, it just cuts to James McAvoy being cool, and then it cuts back to her, and then it cuts back to him, and you're just like, why is this happening?
I do think the neon was handled much better in this movie. It wasn't a neon orgy fest like in the Suicide Squad.
Oh, that's true, but David Leitch was a master of neon. I mean, his best scene ever is that John Wick nightclub scene.
That's a pretty good scene.
And I'd say a close second is this movie's stairwell scene. Every review is pointing out the stairwell scene is the coolest part.
That was really cool. It didn't have a fucking soundtrack to it.
That's why I liked it.
Which
so
it was just fucking people beating the shit out of each other.
The reason I like that scene is because I was paying attention to what the cameraman was doing the entire time, and I was really impressed at the kind of stuff he was doing.
Yeah.
You can only get this kind of scene from a stuntman's perspective because he knows how to block an action scene like this to where you can follow the action and you understand in his mind, this is where we need to be, and then we need to be here, and then Charlize Theron needs to move out here, and then we need to turn there. And he knows how to make that fluid, and if there are any edits, it might be whenever he zooms in or lets himself get close to the bodies that are like spinning around. There might be an edit there. There probably isn't. His cameraman is so like good at his job. You remember that scene where that one guy, I think, either gets stabbed in the head or like stabbed in the heart, and he slowly falls backward, and you see the camera kind of mimic that movement? Mm-hmm. That was really cool. And so whoever the cameraman operating that scene was, ultimate props to the DP, ultimate props to Leitch, because I really like that this movie is visceral and still maintains a really strong sense of storyboarding. I was never lost in that scene. And especially something where I thought I would be lost, like there's a part where she kicks one of the main dudes and he's reaching for a gun, and then he keeps going, and I'm sitting there like, why the fuck are they following him at the waist? And then you see the magazine that he needs to load. I'm just like, oh shit, yeah, like that. I needed that information to make this stuff work. So yeah, ultimate fucking props. That might be one of my favorite scenes this entire year. And then it's kind of like, with that whole, take this, bitch, and he chokes her, and she's like, who's the bitch now?
Yeah,
it's some
that
weird,
was
like, it's some
that was
movie quip.
That was the one thing that ruined that whole
I was like, you had
thing.
me, and then you had to
and
say
then you
that.
kind of just brought it back to like, this is a spy movie with spy cliches. And I'm like, you could have let that scene just kind of sit on its own.
I told you this, but then when he pops out when she gets in the car, I was like, because
you're like, fuck,
he's supposed to be dead.
Although in this kind of movie, a lot of people are supposed to be dead that end up continually kicking. Like that one guy, Spyglass, kept fucking, didn't he get shot in the gut? Yeah, and he still survives through like a good fight. Well, he gets in a couple licks, and then that car crash that was obviously telegraphed.
Maybe a weird comparison, but when that stair scene was happening, it reminded me of The Revenant, how it like pans around the action scenes, and it looks like it's one shot, and it was just filmed really well.
I like it whenever it feels visceral and it feels like you're there, because there are directors that exploit a tracking shot for no fucking reason. But the point of that fight is you needed to be with Charlize Theron while she's getting the shit kicked out of her. You need to hear her like wheeze when she gets kicked in the throat, and you need to see where she gets that fucking black eye from.
Yeah, like she's no Jason Bourne, like she gets the crap kicked out of her.
Oh yeah. And props to Charlize Theron for taking a motherfucking beating and a half and giving 3.
I remember hearing on the radio that how the directors and stuff were, so they were impressed on how she was doing her own stunts and shit like that, and how
just like the female Tom Cruise.
This is some of the guys that she was hitting she needs to buy a few rounds for.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that was cool. I was like, damn.
I'll give this to Theron over Tom Cruise. Charlize Theron never seems in a moment that she's up her own ass. Charlize Theron seems like she has genuine fun in every fucking role that she chooses. I've never.
She was having fun.
Maybe it's my ill knowledge. I haven't seen every Theron movie, but she never gives a half-ass performance.
Even in terrible movies like the Huntsman movies, you can tell that she's having fun on set, and she's.
Oh yeah, there's no one that can make that weird CG like black blood mouth in that trailer. I was like,
only her.
Yeah, man, it's good shit. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the spoiler-free corner of our review, where we finished talking about Atomic Blonde. So once more around the room with my beautiful wife sleeping in the back. Final thoughts, scores out of 6 stars.
Oh, we're starting with me?
Fuck yeah!
It's a pretty film. There wasn't really much to it. It's really long. Kind of boring.
Are you fucking kidding me?
This was a mixed film for me. I hate flashback stories for one thing. I'm sick of them, honestly. I wish this would have been a straightforward narrative. I could probably understood it better. I was exhausted coming out of this because there was so much crap going on, but I loved the action scenes. Charlize Theron was a complete badass in this role, and the music was pretty good, so 3.5 out of 6.
Felt like a John Wick, met Jason Bourne, met some bitch in the hallway or some shit. Had a baby.
One door, one light, one gun, and one girl needing a tampon. This fall, Sophia Boutella stars in Some Bitch in the Hallway.
She gets her own spin-off.
I liked it a lot. I'm gonna go with 5.
Charlize Theron is fucking awesome. Sophia Boutella's awesome. James McAvoy is awesome. John Goodman and Toby Jones, for what they do, they're pretty good. It did feel like John Wick to me, a lot. To round it out, I'll make it a 5.5.
Whoa.
Dang.
Okay.
I really liked it.
I fucking praise Jesus. As I was sitting in the theater, I was a lot angrier because I had to sit there for 2 hours, and this movie kept trying my patience with Return of the King endings and so many twists and bullshit like that. But as I'm talking about this in the car, I find that a lot of that is just being sifted through my mind, and a lot of the good shit is staying. So this movie's greatest strength is that the shit parts are so goddamn forgettable that it doesn't really matter after you watch it. What John Wick has over this movie is that John Wick is simple.
Yeah.
John Wick, you know,
this gets complicated.
It gets really complicated. The choreography is fantastic. You've got some great action scenes. You've got Charlize Theron, again, giving it her all. Sophia Boutella is giving a fun-ass performance. James McAvoy is returning back to filth with this weird fucking character. And I like watching him. I like watching Toby Jones and John Goodman. This movie's full of people that I just enjoy watching. Whether it's a rental, whether it's a matinee, I think you'll be fine. 3.5.
Kinda fucks up my rounding up number, doesn't it?
Fuck you.
So with an HK verdict of 4.3 stars out of 6.
Good time.
I say it's a very good time.
What's coming out next week? Detroit and Dark Tower. Ooh, fuck yeah, I'm gonna watch Dark Tower.
Me too.
I'm gonna go see Detroit.
You better watch Dark Tower with us. It comes from Weed Road. Did your favorite movie, King Arthur. Bitch, let's fucking do it.
It's from my favorite studio, Sony.
Yeah, bitches.
SummerSlam is coming through the end of August. We'll have a promo about that shortly.
Uh-huh. Viewer's Choice is still going on. We still have to do Goodfellas. After that, we got... You know what? Let's do a What's Your Point?
Oh, okay.
I've wanted to ask this question for years, and so What's Your Point is going to come around the time of Annabelle creation. Because I've always wanted to ask, what makes a horror movie a horror movie? Instead of like a thriller, instead of some like paranoid dark drama, we're gonna break it down to the nitty gritty and finally figure out once and fucking for all how to classify a horror film.
If you like the video, press the like button down below. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our channel. We love each and every one of our subscribers.
155, baby!
155! Comment down below. Tell us what you thought of Atomic Blonde. Tell us, you know, if you think one of us is full of shit, if some of us.
I love how you point at me whenever you say full of shit.
I'm comment below and tell us what movies you would like to see us review.
On Viewer's Choice,
and Viewer's Choice. Comment down topics on what we should discuss on What's Your Point.
But until we do any and all of those things, thank you all very much for watching. Thank you all for coming and hanging out, and we'll see you guys next episode. Take care.